All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Berman, and I am the Program Director for the Arkansas Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We are funded by the Defense Logistics Agency, along with the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service. And we are very excited. This is going to be the last of one of our series of weekly virtual trainings, and then we'll kind of revert back to monthly trainings. We are still working virtually, as you can see, but I think we have it down pat now, and we're bringing in federal speakers. And so the first person that we're going to bring in is Lakisha Vance. She started with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in 2008 as a contract specialist intern. And from 2012 to 2019, she was a contracting officer with the Army Medical Command, or MedCom program, executing the Little Rock District's most complex and high dollar procurements. And so these projects typically involve extensive technical service. They're covering hazardous, radiological, toxic waste expertise. And so, you know, she has quite a bit of expertise in that. In December of last year, she was promoted to Deputy of Small Business Program, and that's why she's here in her role for that. We asked her just to give a brief presentation on her role there and how they currently operate there. So with that, Lakisha, I will mute myself, and hopefully everyone can see her presentation up here. Somebody please let me know if you can't, and we will let her speak. So go ahead, Lakisha.
Good morning, everybody. So again, my name is Lakisha Vance, and I am the Deputy of the Small Business Program at the Little Rock District. I wanted to come to you and discuss a couple of important websites. So the first one is the SAMS website. I know you all are probably very familiar with it, but this is just a reminder that your SAMS account should be active at all times, and annually you're required to update your SAMS account. If the Little Rock District have a contract requirement out, you could apply for it, you can submit a proposal for it, but if you do not have an active SAMS account, you will not be able to be selected for award. So it's just very important that you keep your SAMS account up to date. The dynamic small business search is what I like to call the SBA profile. This website is very important as well. I would encourage you to update this site annual and updated as often as possible. Quick example is when contracting is doing a criteria search. Let's say if you don't have anything in here for your bonding capacity, if you have zero, but your bonding capacity is really $1 million, when the government do a search for 1 million to 5 million on a certain X code, well, guess what? Your company is not going to show up because you have not updated your profile. So it's important that you update your profile with as much information as possible, as well as any past performance experience that you may have. This way, your company will pop up during the criteria search. This is the newest baby. This took the place of FBO.gov. This is beta.sam.gov. And where I have the two arrows, those are the most important fields. The first one at the top, if you select the drop down and select on contracted opportunities, and then go a step further to the left, and the keyword, if you would put in W9127S, that is the Little Rock District's locator number. That should pull up everything that the Little Rock District have to bid on. You can also search by zip code if that doesn't work. If you know where a requirement is located, you can always put in a zip code and it should pull up as well. Just to inform you of some upcoming events, every year the Little Rock District have Arkansas Regional Industry Day, and it's usually the second week in December. Right now it's scheduled to be held at Philander Smith College. The date has not been set in stone yet, but you can see some of the other districts that participate in it, and such as Memphis, Kansas City, Vicksburg. Last year we had 12 federal agencies, so it's a lot of opportunities out there. You'll have a chance to do a capability briefing one-on-one with whatever federal agency you're interested in. And to register for it, you would go to beta.sams.gov. And the best way to look this one up is by zip code, which is 72202. Okay. Just some additional information how you can reach me. You can email me at the first line up here where it has an email address. You can also visit my website. I have a lot of helpful information out there for contractors that's wanting to do business with the Little Rock District. I'm also providing you with our contracting line. You can call that line and inquire about requirements as well as their website. And at the bottom, there's the DODAC. That W9127S is very important when you're searching for Little Rock requirements in beta.sams.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakisha. We greatly appreciate it. And Lakisha is going to stick around in the end. After Bettye Lou's presentation, we'll have Q&A. And so if you have any questions for her that you think of during the Bettye Lou's presentation, feel free to enter them in the chat box and we will get them in the queue. So with that, let's turn it over to Bettye Lou. It looks like she has her presentation all queued up.
Good morning. Can everybody see my screen? All right, good. So let's get started. Doing business with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, also known as USACE. So this training today, we have our objectives. Number one, so you can understand the contracting methods used by USACE, how they procure items and services, and then know about the types of contracts. You know, what are the contracts that are going to result from these solicitations that you put bids or proposals in on? I hope you have a better understanding of indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts, known as IDIQs, after today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about location of FAR parts for the Federal Acquisition Regulation. It's a very daunting book. It's got 53 parts. And hopefully I'm going to today point out a few parts that were helpful to you. And lastly, after today, you're going to know where to find additional contracting references. So contracting with the USACE Little Rock District, they have three contracting branches. The first branch is military, okay? They do work on military bases worldwide. Most of their, we got ahead of myself. They do ground up constructions for such things as dining facilities, child development centers. And like I said, this is worldwide. And they have multiple award task order contracts, MATOCs, and they do also standalone contracts and purchase orders. I'm going to talk a little bit about MATOCs in just a minute. Then we had the medical support branch. They do the same thing as the military branch by procuring construction, engineering services, supplies, and other services. But their main goal is to refurbish or renovate medical facilities on Air Force or Army bases. They don't do ground up construction. It's strictly refurbish or renovate. And the medical support branch, they use multiple award task orders almost exclusively. So I want to talk a little bit about MATOCs now before I go on to that third branch of contracting. So multiple award task orders, you'll hear them called MATOCs. They are used to acquire supplies and our services when the exact times and our exact quantities of future deliveries are not known at the time of contract award. Usually after one solicitation, they'll award maybe 6 contracts to 6 different contractors. They try to keep the pool, fairly small. Sometimes they may do 3 small businesses and they may do 3 large businesses. But usually it's, 5 or 6 contractors. These contracts typically last 5 years, and all the contractors within the pool are given a fair opportunity to compete for each task order, delivery order issued during the life of the contract. If you want to read more about MATOCs, you could go to FAR Part 16, Types of Contracts. The thing about MATOCs is you'll see on beta.sam, you'll see when they are advertising or have a solicitation out for a MATOC. But once they get the pool of contractors, they don't put anything else on beta.sam. They just do all their RFPs by their requests for proposals by email. Okay, so back to my contracting branches. This is where I work, Civil Works branch. So I'm going to talk mostly about this today. They procure the same thing as the other two branches, procures construction, engineering supplies, services, equipment, and other services. And this is for Civil Works within the Little Rock district area. So it's not nationwide here. Some examples of construction would be roads, levees. They renovate the hydropower plants at the dams, do a lot of dredging. And then other services would include all the services needed to keep the parks running, mowing, janitorial, etc. And then always supplies and services that the parks need, like generators or gravel, repair parts. I bought a lot of rock in my day. The Little Rock district is among one of the most visited core districts in the nation. The Little Rock district operates 146 public parks and access areas in Arkansas and southern Missouri. So this is a list of the lakes that the Corps, they run these lakes, they govern these lakes. So within these lakes, there are 146 parks. And all of those parks gonna need services. Every one of them needs services such as these that I've listed on here. Liquid waste removal, hazardous tree removal, mowing, paving, it's a big one. And I have here local law enforcement, but that's typically done by counties. They contract with local counties to do their law enforcement. So contracting methods used by the Corps of Engineers. First, we have micro purchases, which is typically done with a credit card. And I'm going to talk individually about each of these after this page. So micro purchases is up to $10,000. And then we had simplified acquisition procedures, also known as SAP, and that's from $10,000 to $25,000 unless it's a commercial item or service. And then we can go all the way up to $7 million using SAP. And that's what most of these services that the parks, they're all commercial services. A commercial service or item is anything that the public would go out and buy. And as long as it doesn't have to be changed a lot for the government, then it's considered a commercial item. And then they also, for the higher dollar acquisitions, we do sealed bidding and contract by negotiation. Just a quick note here, under $25,000, any requirement under $25,000 will not be posted at beta.sam.gov. Okay, so the dollar value of a buy determines how it is procured. On the credit card purchases, like I said, not posted at beta.sam, may be awarded without competition. If you just have, the contract specialist just has to determine that the price is fair and reasonable. These micro purchases are not reserved for small business, so you can use your credit card and pay a large business. And vendors are typically located by referral from the project office or market research. Requirements that are valued from $10,000 to $25,000, the contract specialist needs to obtain 3 quotes by either telephone or email or whatever. And it is not posted at beta.sam.gov either, and vendors are located by referral from project office or market research. Now this point is, I want to touch back on what Lakisha said about the SBA dynamic small business search profile. That is why you have to keep your capabilities narrative up to date and all your information up to date at that site, because when a contract specialist, if they don't have a referral from the project office, they're going to go to that website and they're going to search what they need. And they'll typically pick one who has a well-written capabilities narrative. They'll pick 3 and email them or call them and try to get a quote. All right, so back to simplified acquisition procedures. I already told you about the threshold. The solicitation that will be used is called a combined synopsis / solicitation, which means you're not going to see a pre-solicitation like the higher dollar requirements have. This is just going to be one thing. It's going to be the synopsis and the solicitation. And they're typically called request for quotations, RFQ. And this is a typical number. It's got the DODAC that Lakisha talked about. That identifies the Little Rock district. The 20, it identifies the fiscal year, and that Q is going to tell you, oh, that's a RFQ. And then it'll have a 4-digit number that is assigned by our contract writing software. It's just a sequence of numbers, it'll be the next in line will be your number. Usually awarded on lowest quote, but they may look at your past performance also. It typically results in a purchase order, which you can identify the number because it's going to have a P in it, or an IDIQ contract, and you can identify an our IDIQ contract because it will have a D in the number. If you want to read about simplified acquisition procedures, you can look in FAR Part 12 for commercial items and FAR Part 13 for simplified acquisition procedures. All right, so now I want to go into a little bit more in depth on IDIQ contracts. Once again, kind of like MATOCs, they are used to acquire supplies and our services when the exact times and quantities or deliveries are not known. This IDIQ contracts typically, they just are issued to a single vendor. The contract establishes a maximum quantity, which I will talk about in a little bit later, and a guaranteed minimum. And what a guaranteed minimum is so say you become the proud holder of a IDIQ contract, and for some reason you never get a task order issued to you, which I have never seen happen, but we have to protect you against that. So there's a guaranteed minimum in the contract. It can be a percentage of the total contract, or it can be some contract line item numbers, that they may go ahead and pay you for. I'll show you a little bit more of that, though. But like I say, I've never seen it happen. The Little Rock District uses IDIQs for most of their services at the parks. And you can identify the number with the D, and this is, if you want to read about IDIQs, you can go to FAR Part 16, Types of Contracts. All right, task orders and delivery orders. This is what you get issued to you after you have a IDIQ contract. No competition is required because you've already competed for that base contract. You will recognize a task order or a delivery order because it's going to have an F. That's the number or the letter we use for task orders. Task orders are for services and delivery orders are for supplies. And once again, this is covered in FAR Part 16. Okay, now I want to take a little bit and show you some examples. And just hope we can get back to where we were. All right, so this over here. Can everyone see that? This is a request for quotation, a solicitation, if you will, a synopsis solicitation. I did this a few years back before I left. It's for mowing. It's going to have a cover page where you fill out all your information, your cage code, your DUNS number, your telephone number, and you need to sign it. And then here just gives you information about what this is. As you can see, tells you the NAICS code and the size standard, and it's set aside for small business. This is for mowing and trimming service at Pine Bluff. And here talks about the dates. So this particular one has a base year and 2 option years. I believe now they're doing up to 4 option years. So this would be a 3-year contract. And now I think they've started doing more up to 5 years. It says here, page 7 shows you the guaranteed minimum. I will show you that in just a minute. And then it has your clauses. And it tells you here how the award's going to be made solely on price. And it lists more clauses, and this one had a site visit, so you could go look at the site, and it tells you exactly when quotes are due and how you need to submit them. And here's what you need to submit. You need to submit that cover page, any provisions or clauses such as reps inserts, and your quote schedule filled in. All right, so this is the bid schedule, if you will. This is for the base period, and you see it's got estimated quantity. That's what an IDIQ is. It's an estimated quantity. And then the maximum quantity, it's an estimated quantity, but this is the maximum, like 18 for CLIN 1. See, these numbers on the left side, those are CLINs, contract line item numbers. So for CLIN 1, the maximum number of rounds of mowing will be 18. So that's what you do your unit price, like how much is one round, and then you multiply it by 18 to get the total amount. And it tells you there it's approximately 68 acres. So this particular one had 19 CLINs for different areas in the base year. And then it had 2 option years. The option CLIN, like the first option is 1001, and then the second one starts with 2. Okay, so here's the, so for this particular one, the guaranteed minimum for all of the base year was 1 round of mowing. Okay, so that's what we're guaranteeing if we don't issue you a task order. Forgive me for saying we, that's kind of I'm still stuck in that. All right, so now you've put in your bid and you got your contract. So let's look at the contract. So it's got the contract number, and contractor that got this contract, although this contract's already done and I think they've already got a new one. So the total IDIQ contract award is $103,086.50. That is the total of the base year. In other words, if you got a task order for every CLIN, you would get $103,000 for that first year. All right. So the CLINs look a little bit different on this because this is from the PD2. It's a contract writing software. But here's CLIN 1, Marisash Lake Park. So here we are. We got the prices filled in. So all the prices are filled in all the way to CLIN 2019. Okay. That's important. Don't just bid on the base year. You got to fill out that whole bid schedule. So you got your contract, and now it's time to issue the first task order. So here's the first task order. This one, the first task order was for $35,804. So they didn't do the whole base year. They just did certain amounts and within the CLINs, and they'll always have a real brief work statement. but you've got your contract with the big statement if you need to refer back to it. So here's what this task order is asking for. So that CLIN 1, remember, it was 18, the maximum quantity was 18. Well, here we are. They want 6 rounds of mowing. And then in the second one, they want one round of mowing on the semi-improved area. And they're just on and on. And then you'll see what they want. And then you go out and you do that. And then by the time you finish all these areas, you probably got the second task order for more. So I hope that helps. So we'll go back to my slideshow now. And if it's a higher dollar over the simplified acquisition threshold, we do sealed bidding. This is used when the requirements are specific and clear. A good example is paving. I've done several of these paving ones. And it's used when there's a reasonable expectation of receiving more than one sealed bid. They're called IFBs, invitation for bid. That's the solicitation method. And you will know that it's an IFB if it has a B in the solicitation number. And this is what issue your pre-solicitation for 15 days before you can post your solicitation. That's just a heads up. If you're looking at beta.sam and you see a pre-solicitation, that's telling you, oh, there's going to be a solicitation posted for this. And the contract is awarded on the basis of price and other price-related factors. And an IFB, you don't conduct discussions. And the bids are open at a public bid opening, specific place, date, and time. And if it's at 10 a.m., you need to be sitting in that room, bid in hand, because the door closes and you show up at 10:01 and you're out of luck. If you want to know more about sealed bidding, go to FAR Part 14. Lastly, contract by negotiation. This is used for larger dollar contracting when we have a pretty complex or highly technical requirement, such as maybe renovating or doing work at a hydropower plant. It's called a request for proposal, an RFP, and you'll recognize it because it's going to have an R in the solicitation number. And once again, this has a pre-solicitation of 15 days, and the solicitation must be out for a minimum of 30 days. Often it's longer, depending on how complex this is. You submit a technical proposal as well as a cost proposal. And they don't have to award to the lowest price. If they can get a better technical, if they can justify going with a higher priced, better technical product, then they will. But it has to be justified. Discussions are permitted in this type of contracting. And if you want to read about it, you can go to FAR Part 15. Okay, so I've listed most of these key parts and talked to you about 13, 14, 15, and 16, but Part 2 is good because it has a lot of definitions, so that could be helpful if you want to look at that. And then Part 19 talks about all the small business programs, and Part 52 has a list of all the solicitations. So a lot of times you'll see clauses by reference. This is where you go to read those clauses, and you can find the FAR at acquisition.gov. All right, other resources, govology.com. It's a great website with just a wealth of information. They have a lot of on-demand training and live webinars, and they just have tons of training courses. Now, they usually go for $75 a piece, but if you are a client of PTAC, we have a code that you can use, and you can as much training as you want for free. So if you don't have that code, please contact one of your counselors and get that code, and you can learn a lot. And then there's us. Let's see, what can we do for you? What can PTAC do for you? We can help you with federal and state registrations and certifications, federal and state marketing strategies. We can show you how to find bid matching and bid opportunities. And if you have a solicitation, we can take a look at it and tell you what you need to submit. And we can even review your proposal with you. And this is us. This is our team. We have a really good team. Our counselors have over 50 years of combined government contracting experience. We have 2 great administrative support personnel, Renee and Nikki, and then we have Melanie, who you heard from earlier. She's our program manager. And if you, most of us are located in Little Rock. This is our contact information, but we stuck Max up there in Bentonville, and he does a good job up there. So you can get in touch with any of us. And that is all I have. So I'm going to open the floor to questions now.
So Bettye Lou, thank you so much. And so we're going to ask that you go ahead and continue to keep yourself on mute, but go ahead and enter your questions in the chat box, and we'll make every effort to get to it. One thing for those of you who had to come in a little bit late, I just want to assure you that we're going to be sending out both presentations, the one that you just saw and also the one that Ms. Vance did at the beginning. So you'll be getting copies of the slides, and also we'll be posting this recording on our website here in just a few days. So I have one question already. Bettye Lou, are you ready?
I'm bringing it on.
All right. Could you explain what a task order is in more detail?
If you get awarded an IDIQ contract, it's not going to really have any money attached to it, but it's going to have all those CLINs that I told you about. And when the project office gets ready to, say it's a hazardous tree removal, they've got some trees in the spring that need to come down before they can open the parks. They go to that contract and they issue task orders for the areas that they want to do to take the hazardous trees down. So say in a given year, you may get 3 or 4 task orders that are telling you, this is where we want you to, we want you to take these trees down. It just directs you when and where to do your work that is under the overarching base IDIQ contract.
Great, thanks for revisiting that. And then we have another question. Is there any information on selling products? And I am assuming, Lynette, that you're talking about selling products in the context of the Corps of Engineers. So Bettye Lou, I guess maybe the question is, how much of your procurement activity would be in the area of actually commercial products?
Oh, well, like say janitorial, if we could do a janitorial contract, we expect, whoever gets the contract to supply the products, the cleaning products. So we don't go out and buy them. And it's other, what other products would she be talking about?
This particular client sells granola, food products.
Okay. I don't know that the project offices would buy food products.
Okay.
I don't believe they would.
Yeah. So Lynette, in fact, any of you on here, I would encourage you, if you want to work, and you may be working one-on-one with a counselor, one of the things we can do is, take a look at products and services and find out basically where the purchasing activity is, and it may be with a different agency for your type of product. So any of you who want a one-on-one session with one of the counselors to do a deeper dive, just put that here in the chat box if you want to. Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lakisha, I'm gonna have you take yourself off mute because this is for you.
Okay.
What type of contracts are available typically in the last fiscal quarter?
Well, the Corps of Engineers have service, supply, and construction. And in the last quarter, we have all three, basically all throughout the year, we have service, supply, and construction type contracts. That may include AE. AE is considered our service contract. So again, service, supplies, and construction. The construction could be design build, it could be design bid build, but majority of our contracts for construction are design build.
Okay, great. Oh, we got questions rolling in now. Bettye Lou, this is back to you. I know you covered MATOCs, but the question is, please explain what an IDIQ contract is in case that wasn't clear.
Okay. So it's when you don't know at the time of award when you're going to need certain items or services or how much you're going to need at the time. So they will issue a contract with a maximum quantity, and then they issue task orders off that to direct the contract holder to either supply the product or do the mowing or whatever. And a MATOC is a multiple award. It means it's going to have more than one contract holder. And what they do when it comes time to issue a task order, those holders of the MATOC, the pool, they have to compete. So you don't just hand them one of them a task order and say, here, go do this. They have to submit proposals and compete and get awarded the task order.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Here we go. What happens if there is contractor non-performance or sub-performance after a contract is awarded?
Well, the contracting officer is going to work with you and notify you of the issue and give you an opportunity to fix it, to cure it, as they say. And if for some reason you are unable to cure it, then they could possibly terminate your contract for default. And at that point, it would be, if it was a construction contract, they put it in CPARS, which is, help me out, Keisha, what does CPARS stand for?
I believe it's Contractors Past Performance Assessment Report.
Okay, thank you. A lot of acronyms and you forget what they mean sometimes, and that's not good. You know, when you get a black mark there on you on a CPARS or any kind of past performance website, that makes it a little bit harder to get a government contract.
Okay, that was a good question. Where would we find a current list for companies who have a MATOC for possible subcontracting opportunities?
I can answer that if you like.
Yes, please do.
So if you know, you could always call one of those numbers that I provided, whether it's the small business office or the contracting line. And the contracting officer can provide you at any time the MATOC holder's names, address, and cage code numbers. And then you can go in SAMS and research the information that you need, or call them and let them know that you're interested in subcontracting on a task order that they may be awarded.
Thank you. And Lakisha, actually, the next question is for you. Do you meet with small business owners? And if so, what would you recommend our PTAC clients do if they want to have a conversation with you to prepare for that meeting?
Yes, I do meet with small business owners. Now with everything that's going on, I am hosting teleconference every Tuesday. I set up capability briefings all day on Tuesday. So what I would request, if someone wants to meet with me, is to send me an email and include your capability statement in the email. So when I'm setting up that invite, I'll send you out an invite, and I'll include the contracting officer out of the 3 branches that falls within your area of consideration. So if you're looking for civil work type work, I would include the contracting officer or the chief, branch chief over that branch. So if you just send me an email and include your capability statement, I'll set you up an appointment at my earliest convenience.
Great. And I'll just reiterate, I believe Bettye Lou touched on this earlier, that if you don't have a capability statement or you don't have a lot of confidence in your capability statement, that is one of the services that we do, is we help review those and make sure that they're in optimum shape to share with government buyers. Okay.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Okay.
So at the beginning, Keisha talked about the industry days held every December. That is a great opportunity to go to that, and you can meet program managers. And remember when I was telling you that under 25K, under 25,000 is not posted at beta.sam? Well, this is how you get to know those people, and they get to know you and say, oh yeah, so-and-so, I met them at Industry Day. They can do this. So they would refer, those program managers would refer your name to the contract specialist when they're going out to get 3 quotes. So it's very important. If you can, go to Industry Day with the Corps. It's a great event.
And that typically is near the end of the calendar year, right?
In December.
Okay. We always try to send out information to our client base about that. Okay, I'm going to back to the question about subperformance or failure to perform. And I think Mary's question, Mary, if I'm misinterpreting, just clarify in the chat box, is the question about subperformance is what is the process if the other guy, and I'm assuming she means a competitor, fails to perform? That would it, I guess maybe the question is, would an unsuccessful bidder have any recourse?
Not, if this successful bidder has gotten the contract and down the road they are not performing well, they would, the second in line would not have any recourse, no.
Okay, except just to see when it's coming up for recompete. Right.
Because that's what will happen. It will be terminated, and then they'll recompete it, and then that unsuccessful offer can put in another proposal.
Okay. All right. And the next question actually is, I think, for me, how to get a one-on-one meeting. So if you are not working with a PTAC counselor, I have just simply, I've seen some requests come through here. We have your contact information due to your registration for this event. So one of us will reach out to you, Lynette and others, and schedule a one-on-one meeting as well. I also just want to go back. I know several people were having a little trouble coming in during Lakisha's presentation, and you were giving out like great information, handing it out like candy. I think the phone numbers and web links and so forth will be in the slides that we send out, and which should be coming out, in the next 24 hours. And then again, if you want to revisit any of the audio, you go to, let's see, could somebody post the URL for our website here in the chat box so people know where to go to look for the recording? Thanks, Melanie. So there's the web link right there. So we really appreciate, Lakisha, you're taking time to answer a lot of questions. Bettye Lou, that was a very, very beneficial presentation. We have been doing these virtual trainings weekly for the last couple of months. We don't have any plan for June, but we are planning to begin our trainings back up in July. probably virtually to begin with until we can get back into our building. And just as a last reminder, you'll be getting Renee Blackman, our administrative support specialist, will be sending out copies of the presentations. We'll be posting the web link. And then also, please be on the lookout for the survey that will come from the PTAC email. It's vital that we know how we're doing. This is a new medium for us. We want to let our funder know how we're doing so we can continue to offer these. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to let you get about your day.